There is no debate that the biggest plot twist from A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was the fact that Egg wasn't merely a stable boy, but in fact, a Targaryen prince. But what if I told you that the signs were always there? This is the topic of today's video. We are going to talk about all the subtle clues that reveal Egg's secret identity. Starting with one of Egg's most characteristic traits, his arrogance and the way he talks back. Egg doesn't just surprise Dunk by answering him in that manner. He also surprises us, the audience. It takes us by surprise to see such a small boy being so bitter, tough, and always ready with a sharp reply. This shock is perfectly reflected in Dunk, who is unable to believe his eyes. Dunk may be just a hedge knight, but he is still a knight, which already places him in a higher social category than most people. Knighthood is a holy act. It instantly elevates someone, even if they were previously a low-born squire, into the nobility. So, for a mere stable boy to answer back to a noble could have serious repercussions. Dunk doesn't give this much thought and simply attributes all of Egg's foolishness and bad-mouthing to his young age. He tells himself that once Egg grows up, he will grow out of this bad habit. The next clue that Targaryens are involved in the story is the coin with which Darren pays the innkeeper. This wasn't just an ordinary coin. As many of you noticed, it bears the Targaryen sigil. We can also see the expression on the innkeeper's face when she sees the coin. From this moment alone, we know that the Targaryens will somehow be connected to the story, since apparently only Targaryens, or those close to them, possess such coins. Another clue can be found after Dunk catches Egg riding his horse. When Dunk becomes angry and pulls Egg down, he tells him, "He's a war horse, not a boy's pony." To which Egg replies, "I could ride him as well as you." This isn't just a cheeky response, it's actually the truth. As a Targaryen prince, Egg would have received the finest education, which included horse riding. So yes, Egg would have no problem riding a war horse. The final clue in the last episode occurs when Dunk throws a coin to Egg, a coin that Egg doesn't even bother to look at. Dunk interprets this as pride and arrogance, especially because he didn't take Egg to the tourney. He even tells him, "I know you'll scoop it up as soon as I'm gone." But we know that wouldn't be the case. I think the most evident clue that Egg wasn't who he claimed to be is his extensive knowledge and the way he speaks. And his knowledge doesn't only apply to famous knights, tournaments, or historical events. During one of their conversations, Dunk tells Egg that Ser Donald of the Kingsguard is the son of a crabber. This makes Dunk believe that maybe, just maybe, a good house might take him in if he performs well at the tournament. Egg responds by saying that Ser Donald's father owns half of the crabbing fleet in Westeros. This is not the kind of knowledge a low-born child would have. Dunk even asks Egg how he knows such a thing, to which Egg replies with a quick-witted answer, "I like fishing." But just before this dialogue takes place, Egg complains about a bug in his cider and looks visibly disgusted by it. Another subtle clue that Egg comes from nobility is the fact that he doesn't know how to sew a patch. Dunk even tries to teach him, but Egg shows zero talent for it, suggesting that he has never had to do such work in his life, something that fits only the nobility. But it's not just his knowledge that reveals Egg isn't who he says he is. His manner of speech is also a giveaway. We get a masterclass on this from Tywin Lannister when he educates Arya. Tywin explains that low-born people don't say "my lord," but rather "me lord." We see this exact speech pattern in Egg as well. He is simply too well educated to speak like the common folk. Unfortunately, Dunk isn't as perceptive as Tywin Lannister when it comes to catching such subtleties. Egg is also highly intelligent. In the scene where Tansel shows how she creates her flames, Egg immediately realizes that she is using pollen. Only someone with a higher level of education could spot something like that so quickly. Another strong hint appears at the end of the first episode when we learn that Egg's home is King's Landing. In the books, Dunk initially believes Egg is mocking him because he is from Flea Bottom. But after thinking it over, Dunk convinces himself that Egg is just like him, an orphan from Flea Bottom, and decides to take him on as a squire to repay the debt he owes to Sir Arlen. No wonder Dunk is so shocked when he learns Egg's true identity. King's Landing was indeed Egg's home, but not Flea Bottom. His home was the royal palace. Egg's attitude and quick, mocking replies are one of the best aspects of the show. The director did a wonderful job capturing the comedic tone of the novellas. However, Egg's arrogance always disappears whenever he is asked about his personal life. He immediately becomes self-aware, goes on the defensive, and avoids the questions altogether. We can also argue that another big tell is how Egg always starts panicking whenever he sees the Targaryen banner, or how he constantly avoids talking to knights or people of nobility. Egg knew that if he encountered someone highborn, his behavior would stand out, and people would realize that there was much more to him than met the eye. This is why when Egg saw the Targaryen banner as Aerion arrived, he fled to the camp to tend to the horses. His hatred toward Aerion can also be seen as a hint. Egg was far too enraged when he screamed "kill him" during the tournament for him to be just a simple Targaryen hater. You can tell that something much deeper is happening here, and we later learn exactly why Egg hated Aerion so much. I'm really curious whether Egg would have had it in him to kill Aerion if their father hadn't been present. What do you think about this? Remember the fortune teller's prophecies from episode 3? What if I told you it actually comes true? Dunk would indeed achieve great success, although I highly doubt he ever became richer than a Lannister. This is a spoiler, so please skip this part if you're not familiar with the full story, but Dunk eventually becomes Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and Egg becomes King Aegon V. Of course, in the show, Dunk takes this as a joke, but we can clearly see the frightened look on Egg's face when he hears that he will be king and that many people will hate him. The only way Egg could ever become king would be either by being a usurper like Robert Baratheon, or by being a Targaryen. I'm currently working on a video in which I'll explain the full journey of Dunk and Egg and why it is so important to the history of Westeros. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel to be notified when that video drops. I think these are all the major clues from the TV series that point toward Egg's true identity. Of course, there are also some smaller ones, like the fact that Egg is bald. This was a common practice among Targaryens when they tried to blend in with the common people. Their silver blonde hair and purple eyes are clear signs of their origins, so shaving their heads helped them hide their identity. We learned about this in House of the Dragon. There's also his nickname, Egg. While it seems simple, Egg is a diminutive of Aegon, a name commonly associated with Targaryen kings. The nickname was given to him by his brother Aemon. Some of you avid watchers might have even recognized one of these spoilers in the main Game of Thrones series, when Egg's brother, Maester Aemon of the Night's Watch, calls out Egg during his delirium. In that moment, he is referring to his younger brother, Egg, the same brother for whom Aemon would eventually give up the throne. So there you have it. All the hints the show presented that reveal Egg's true identity as Aegon Targaryen. Let me know in the comments how many of these clues you caught, or if I missed any major ones, don't hesitate to share them. If you have any questions about this TV series, or if you'd like me to cover a specific topic, just let me know, and I'll do my best to honor that request. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.